Dronacharya. Arjuna, great soul, did not like the idea of killing him, although Aswathama was a heinous murderer of Arjun's family members.
Can you move up the screen, please? Waiting for the screen to move upwards. Text 41. Athopetya swashibiram Govinda priya sarathihi Nyavedataya dayata tamam priyaye Sauchantya atma jathatan.
After reaching his own camp, Arjun, along with his dear friend and charioteer, Sri Krishna, entrusted the murderer unto his dear wife, who was lamenting for her murdered sons.
Text, verse 42. Tatha hurtam pashuvata pasha baddham avanamam murkham karma jugupsitena nirikshya krishna prakurtam guroha sutam vama swabhava krupaya nanamacha.
Sri Sutta Goswami said, Draupadi then saw Swatama, who was bound with ropes like an animal and silent for having enacted the most inglorious murder. Due to her female nature and due to her being naturally good and well behaved, she showed him due respects as a Brahmana.
Verse 43. Uvacha chasahanti asya bandhana nayanam sati mucchitam esha brahmano nitaram guruhu.
She could not tolerate Aswathama's being bound by ropes. And being a devoted lady, she said, release him, for he is a Brahmana, our spiritual master.
Verse 44. Sarahasyo dhanurvedaha savisargo pasamyamaha astra gramasya cha bhavata sikshito yad anugrahat.
It was by Dronacharya's mercy that she learned the military art of throwing arrows and the confidential art of controlling weapons.
Verse 45. Sa esha bhagavana dronaha prajarupena vartate tasyatmano urgardham patni aste nanvagada viramuha krupi.
He, Dronacharya, is certainly still existing, being represented by his son. His wife Kripa did not undergo a sati with him because she had a son.
Verse 46. Tad dharmagna mahabhaga baddabira gauravam kulam vrajitam narhati praptum pujyam vandanayam apikshnaha.
O most fortunate one, who know the principles of religion, it is not good for you to cause grief to glorious family members who are always respectable and worshipful.
Verse 47. Marodid asya janani gautami pati devata yataham vastapta rodimi ashrumukhi muhu.
My Lord, do not make the wife of Dronacharya cry like me. I am aggrieved for the death of my sons. She need not cry constantly like me.
Verse 48. Yaiha kopitam brahma kulam rajan yaira ajitatma bihi tat kulam pradat hatya asu sanu bandam sucharapitam.
If the kingly administrative order, being unrestricted in sense control, offends the Brahmana order and enrages them, then the fire of that rage burns up the whole body of the royal family and brings grief upon them all.
Verse 49. Sutta uvacha dharmyam nyayam Sakuranam nirvyalekam samamahate Raja dharmasuto rajnayah Prapanya dada vacho dvijaha.
Sutta Goswami said, O Brahmana, King Yudhishthira, fully supported the statements of the queen, which were in accordance with the principles of religion and were justified, glorious, full of mercy and equity, and without duplicity.
Verse 50. Nakulaha sahadevascha yuyudhano dhanana jayaha Bhagavan devaki putro ye chanye yasascha yoshitaha.
Nakula and Sahadev, the younger brothers of the king, and also Satyaki, Arjun, the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, son of Devaki, and the ladies and others unanimously agreed with the king.
Verse 51. Tatraha marsito bhimas tasya shreyana vadaha smruta na bhartur namna nasha charthe yohat suktana shishun vrutha.
Bhima, however, angrily disagreed with them and recommended killing this culprit who had murdered sleeping children for no purpose and for neither his nor his master's interest.
Verse 52. Nisamya bhima gaditam draupadyascha chaturbhujaha alokya vadanam sakyur idam aha hasnan iva.
Chaturbhuja, the four-armed one, or the personality of Godhead, after hearing the words of Bhima, Draupadi, and others, saw the face of his dear friend Arjun, and he began to speak as if smiling.
Verses 53-54. Shri Bhagavan uvacha Brahma bandhurana hantavya atatayi vadarhana Maya ivo bhayam ava natam paripahi anushasanam Kuru pratishrutam satyam yattat santvanayata priyam cha bhima senasya panchalya mahyam evacha.
The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna said, a friend of a Brahman is not to be killed, but if he is an aggressor, he must be killed. All these rulings are in the scriptures, and you should act accordingly. You have to fulfill your promises to your wife, and you must also act to the satisfaction of Vimsena and me.
Verse 55. Sut uvacha arjunaha sahasa janaya harera hardam athasina manim jahar murdanyama vijasya saha murdajam.
Sutta Goswami said, just then Arjun could understand the motive of the Lord by his equivocal orders, and thus with his sword he severed both hair and jewel from the head of Aswatthama.
Verse 56. Vimuchya rasanabaddham balahatya hataprabham tejasa maninahinam shibirana nirayapayat.
He, Aswatthama, had already lost his bodily luster due to infanticide, and now, moreover, having lost the jewel from his head, he lost even more strength. Thus he was unbound, and driven out of the camp.
Verse 57. Vapanam dravinadanam sthanan niryapanam tatha eshahi brahma bandhunam vado nanyosti dehika.
Cutting the hair from his head, depriving him of his wealth, and driving him from his residence are the prescribed punishments for the relative of a Brahmana. There is no injunction for killing the body.
Verse 58. Putra shokutaraha sarve pandavasaha krishnaya swanam rutunama yat krutyam chakrura niraharanadikam.
Thereafter, the sons of Pandu and Draupadi, overwhelmed with grief, performed the proper rituals for the dead bodies of their relatives. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 7th chapter, of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Son of Drona Punished. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for the wonderful recitations, Yogesh Prabhuji and Bhanutanya Mataji. So, Jyoti Mataji, can we ask the volunteer to say the Mangalacharan, please?
Yes, Mataji, and I'll put the verse up as well. And we
Yes,
can
please. Yes,
I'm
please.
just
Thank you.
calling Manu Prabhu. Shortly he will join us.
Okay, thank you.
What is it, 47 today?
47, yes, Mataji, please.
Okay.
Thank you. And dear devotees, can we have a volunteer, please, to say the Mangalacharan?
Perfect.
Indulekha Mataji, would you like to do?
If the text is available, my wife Charu is offering to read. If a text is there, please. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji. This is 47 with the Sanskrit and translation purport, everything.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji is here. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandatam. Prabhuji is here.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have read the verses today already. I'm sure
Yes,
we have.
Prabhuji, we read the verses.
We are at verse 47 for today, right?
Oh, no, it's the 47 we haven't done. We've just done 39 to 58.
I'm just going to do it now. No problem.
And you're the host now as well. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Verse 47. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Shrivatam Swakatah Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridiyantasto hi abhadrani vidhunoti suhit satam Nashtaprayesu abhadresu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. So we're reading from chapter 7th of Canto 1, verse number 47 from Srimad Bhagavatam. Marodidasya janani Gautami Patidevata. Marodid asya janani Gautami Patidevata. Yataham ritvatsarta Rodimya Shumukhi Muha. Yataham ritvatsarta Rodimi Ashrimukhi Munaha. Ashrumukhi Muha. Marodidasya janani Gautami Patidevata Yathaham Ritvatsarta Rodimi Ashrumukhi Muhu Marodi Dasya Janani Gautami Pati Devata Yataham Ritvasarata Rodimi Ashrumukhi Muhu. Synonyms: Ma, do not. Rodit, make cry. Asya, his. Janani, mother. Gautami, the wife of Drona. Pati Devata, chaste. Yatha, as has. Aham, myself. Mrita, Vatsa, one whose child is dead. Partha, distressed. Rodini, crying. Ashram, tears in the eyes. Mu, constantly. Translation: My lord, do not make the wife of Dronacharya cry like me. I am agreed for the death of my sons. She need not cry constantly like me. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Sympathetic, good lady as she was, Srimati Draupadi did not want to put the wife of Dronacharya in the same position of childlessness, both from the point of motherly feelings and from the respectable position held by the wife of Dronacharya. So, Om Jnanam Timrindasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapad Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Badam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shirade Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevaccha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we did discuss this event or incidents in our last week, and perhaps being discussed every single day, because the context of this part of the pastimes of the Lord is about a Sattama who has acted like an aggressor and killed the innocent children of Pandavas. Not only he killed innocent children of Pandavas, he literally killed everybody in the victory camp who were sleeping in the night without any weapons. And Asatthama entered into this camp in the dead of the night, single-handedly with a weapon, and in rage of madness, he killed every single person, every single person in the camp. He was revenging for his father's death, and he was ordered by Duryodhan to go and fetch the heads of 5 Pandavas. He could not, however, found the heads of Pandavas. He got this idea of killing the sleeping individuals. When he was walking towards the camp, he saw a very big bird attacking another sleeping bird on the tree. And he said that, okay, this is fine. This is nature's law. I am awake, and the only way I can win my enemy is by killing them as when they are sleeping ignorantly. Now everybody knows that this is not possible in the warfare. There are certain rules and regulations of the warfare, and in olden days they were being followed. For example, after sunrise, the people from the enemy's camp, they can come together and have dinner together, be like friends. There is an agenda for which they are fighting. But when they're fighting, they're like enemies, fierce. But when they come together in the evening after sunset, that's all right. They are like friends. So this Asatthama, however, was taking personal revenge more than just fighting for Kauravas. And obviously, we understand the story that Arjun finally got to know that this is what has happened, and he chased Asatthama. Asatthama, out of fear of his death, of his life, he released the nuclear weapon, and for which Krishna ordered Arjun to retract this nuclear weapon, counteract with another nuclear weapon, and then Asatthama was caught. Now Draupadi wanted Asatthama killed as when Arjun was leaving. But when Asatthama was caught brutally like an animal and pulled by Arjun and brought back to Draupadi, Draupadi's heart started to melt. And this verse is about that. What did Draupadi think? Draupadi thought about the mother of Asatthama. And she's going to be, who is the wife of Dronacharya, which is Guru's wife, Guru Patni, is also like Guru Mata. So he was very, she did not want, it says here, she need not cry constantly like me. Rodimi ashru mukhi muhu, constantly ashru mukhi, tears in the eyes, rodimi, crying. So this is the compassion of a devotee heart. In this case, she's a mother. On one hand, she's a mother, and she understands the pain of mother. The pain of mother, if she loses her child, she was going through this pain. And that sympathy in her heart was not allowing Arjun to now kill Asatthama. Asatthama was, on one hand, obviously he was the son of Guru, and therefore Brahmin, and she didn't want to take the risk, take to the responsibility of killing a Brahmin. She felt like that. But then the second reason, which became the larger reason, that she did not want her Guru Patni, her Guru Mata, to cry like she was crying constantly. So this is a very, very special feeling of a Vaishnava. Not only Draupadi, even Arjun, he did not want to kill Asatthama. Even the Krishna was ordering him, he was reluctant. Not only Arjun, Nakul Sahadev didn't want to kill. Even Yeah, none of the Pandavas wanted to kill Aswathama except for Bhima. Bhima was feeling very, very angry about it. Yudhishthira Maharaj echoed with Draupadi, and he was feeling the similar pain in his heart. What will happen to the wife of Dronacharya if we kill Aswathama? This feeling of compassion is a natural feeling in devotee's heart. One should not think that this was a mundane weakness of heart. It wasn't, because they had already fought the battle and they had killed so many people, those who were their own relatives. There was nothing to lose if they would have killed, or gain they would have killed another individual. But here the situation was very different. They were not looking at Aswathama as a member of the opposite camp. They were seeing Aswathama as the son of their Guru and Guru Patni. Guru being dead, Guru Patni was still alive, and therefore they didn't want to give that pain to Guru Patni. Now the point is that this compassion in the Vaishnava's heart, this compassion is actually a quality which is embedded in the core of Vaishnava's heart. This compassion is present in Lord Krishna. Out of compassion, Lord Krishna appeared as Lord Chaitanya, and he wanted to show his compassion for all the living entities. And thus he gave us this glorious Hare Krishna Mahamantra. By chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, even those who are dog eaters can be elevated to the position of Paramhamsas. Such compassion in the heart of the Lord. Naturally, devotees who are the followers of the Lord, who are serving the Lord, who embody the qualities of the Lord, also manifest this quality of compassion. Just now we had just recited this verse. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayeva patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Patitanam pavnebhyo. Their heart is full of compassion. Their heart is full of compassion. Their heart they're always feeling the pain of others. They cannot see the suffering of others. Now there can be various visions of suffering. When I was younger in the university, I was studying, I was graduating, I was doing graduation in India. I was studying in a university, and that university, my halls of residence was very, very close to a hospital. It wasn't actually a hospital, but it was a medical college, and this hospital was part of the medical college. So it was a hospital, but also it was a medical college. I used to go there, and I used to see people on the bed. Something in my heart used to pull me to the hospital and see these people. And I used to question myself, why are they suffering? What is the reason behind their suffering? Sometimes I would see innocent children. Other times I would see older people. So this question used to come into my heart, that these people are suffering, and obviously people die in the hospital. And I used to feel that's how come they are dying? Aren't they supposed to live? What is death? What is this suffering? So the question is, the reason I'm telling this incident of my life is that there are various ways of looking suffering. Somebody may see hunger as suffering, thirst as suffering. Other people can see some kind of disease as suffering. Some diseases are curable. Other diseases may not be curable. Sometimes disease like lung cancer, and if it is in the terminal stage, it cannot be cured. What to do? It's a suffering, constant mental anxiety. And then there is pain. The tumor is piercing into the rib cage. There is pain, and this pain never seems to go. This is suffering. Sometimes we find people are suffering even if they have everything in their life. They have very nice house, very comfortable position, very nice, good job. Everything is great, but mentally they are suffering. They are in anxiety. They are in fear. They have all kinds of miserable situation created in their own mind. They're suffering because of relationship breakage. They're suffering because they're lonely. They're suffering because they are even in the crowd of many people, they don't have their own identity. There are many kinds of suffering in the material world. It is said that everything in the material world is a suffering. Everything in the material world is suffering. Only cessation of suffering appears to be happiness for a temporary period. Then again, it's a suffering. So this suffering that goes on in the material world is called Mrityu Lok. Everybody has to die. Every body has to die. There's a death date on everything that appear in this world. Now, this suffering that we see is one kind of suffering. But then there's another kind of suffering. That is the cycle of death, birth, old age, and disease. Now, this suffering is generally not so much realized by common people. But saintly personalities who are self-realized souls, who are God conscious, Krishna conscious, they are able to see this suffering. They're able to see because their heart are not full of desires for material enjoyment. Their hearts are not, their mind is not reeling through the unlimited desires that would give hope of enjoyment in this material world through the senses and the objects of senses, somehow gratify these senses. Material desires, the sex desire being the epitome of all the material desires, as explained in our scriptures. So the heart of common living entities, or the mind of common living entity, is full of unlimited desires. And is always very anxious. He's not peaceful, restless, in order to achieve the next goal, which will give him happiness. But when that next goal is achieved, he's again going for the next goal, which will bring him happiness. But before he gets to the next goal and after he gets to the next goal, he's never becoming happy. Momentarily, cessation of misery brings him some happiness. So this heart of Vaishnavas is only filled with compassion. Their heart is filled with compassion because of their self-realization, God realization, because of their Krishna consciousness. They have embodied the quality of Krishna. And one of the biggest quality that is in Vaishnavas is the feeling of compassion. Not able to tolerate or not able to really tolerate the suffering of others. They cannot see them suffer. It's like a child, if he's suffering, mother cannot see him suffer or her suffer. It's very difficult. She would go out of the way to do something about it. Even though child likes it, doesn't like it, doesn't matter. So these saintly personalities, they descend on the planet just to extend that compassion of Krishna to the other living entities, because they are not able to see them suffer through the waves of desires in the material world, and then again become hopeful that they'll get something. It's like a crow. I saw a crow, and this crow was hitting his beak in the glass, thinking that there's another crow on the other side. It was a funny sight. He was hitting it again, he'll fly away, hit it again and fly away. All the time he was getting hurt. But somehow I was feeling there's another crow there. I need to beat him up. I need to defeat him. And then after some time, I put some covering on the mirror and he went away. So it's like this. Living entity again and again is running towards the material energy, that thinking that this material energy will give me relief. He gets burnt and then he runs back again to it, thinking it'll give me relief. Somehow I'll become, he's very hopeful, very, very hopeful. Somehow or other, I will get there. Saintly personalities, Vaishnavas, they know. Prakati kriya manani gune karvani sarvashaha. It is the doing of material nature. This living entity does not understand how it's completely controlled by the mode of passion, mode of goodness, mode of ignorance. Whatever he's getting today is because of his past karma, not because of what he's doing now. And whatever he's doing now will create his future. Why doesn't he just not surrender to Krishna? Because surrendering to Krishna will give him complete relief from all kinds of misery. Srila Prabhupada used to say, simply become Krishna conscious, all your miseries will go away. Now this fact is very difficult, very, very difficult to realize and to understand. And that's the compassion of a Vaishnava. Because of this compassion, Vaishnavas take trouble. They take trouble of traveling. They take trouble of writing books. There is no way to enter or get insight into the spiritual world but through the heart of Vaishnavas. And whatever is in their heart, they are able to put it together in literature for us to read, to understand, to associate with them. From Srila Rupa Goswami to Jeev Goswami to Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, and all the disciples of Prabhupada, Shivram Maharaj, Radhanath Maharaj, Bhakti Chandra Maharaj, all of them are writing literatures. Why? Are they going to get some name, fame? No. They're trying to make Krishna famous. By doing so, they will make living entity connected with Krishna. And this is the largest, biggest compassion, that a Vaishnava wants reunion of the lost soul to God. And that reunion, why is he compassionate like that? Because that reunion will make living entity very happy. And more than that, that'll make Krishna actually very happy. Otherwise, Krishna won't say things like, Sarvadham Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam. You come to me. I'll take care of you. So Krishna is the most compassionate. So this quality of compassion is actually the ornament. It's not that this compassion can be artificially developed. It comes only when somebody becomes Krishna conscious. And then they get this quality of compassion. It's not artificial. We cannot just develop the quality of compassion. If we develop the quality of compassion the way materialists do, we can help people to take them to hospitals, give them some money, somehow give them the relief from the boil. But we'll not be able to give them the real happiness, freedom from the bodily cage. We'll be just giving them some temporary relief of what we think is suffering is for them. Now, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung this beautiful song. And he's singing to the Vaishnavas. He's singing, O Vaishnava Thakur, Dayare Sagar, Edashe Karuna Kari. He's praying to the Vaishnava. He's saying that you are the ocean of compassion, Dayare Sagar. Please be merciful upon your servant. Edashe Karuna Kori. give me your mercy. Diya pad chaya, sodohi maya, tomara charana dhuri. Saying, please give me shelter unto your lotus feet. I hold on to your lotus feet. Tomara charana dhuri. So this is the way that a living entity can take shelter of Vaishnava. And this great Acharya is showing by this beautiful, nice bhajan that how we can take shelter of Vaishnavas, because Vaishnavas are friend of everyone. In Pandavas, we know that there was no enemy to Yudhishthira Maharaj otherwise. Everybody was his friend. So Vaishnavas are like that. They are friends to every living entity, not just human beings, every living entity. And they can give Krishna because Krishna is theirs. The last paragraph in this bhajan, Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakti ache. Krishna is yours, and you have the power to give him to me. Amito Kangala, Krishna Krishna Boli, Dhaita Pache Pache. Dhai means I'm running, Pache Pache, behind you. Amito Kangal, I have nothing. Krishna Krishna Boli, I'm chanting Krishna Krishna. So this feeling the living entity gets is only through the mercy of devotees. I have nothing. Because a conditioned soul always feel I have everything. I have my relatives, I have my wife, I have my children, I have my house, I have my job, I have my bank balance, I have my society, I have my own people, I have my own abilities, I can do whatever I need to, I have my mobile phone. That's the ultimate power. So these are the shelter. And he thinks I have everything, not realizing that he has nothing. Because at the time of death, what will be left behind? But you see, when Vaishnavas leave, they leave a whole legacy behind. Their mercies still can be accessed by following their instructions. By following the instructions, we can access the mercy of Vaishnavas. We can access their association. We can access their Vani. And by just following their sound vibration, we can access Krishna through them, even though they are not present. Isn't that wonderful? That beautiful quality of Vaishnavas, that even though they are not there, they are able to help us to get rid of our miseries, our sorrows. Their compassion is actually staying behind after even they have physically left this material world. That's the extent of their compassion, and that compassion can still be accessed. Whereas, even though there's somebody who's materially very wealthy and opulent, he may be coming across as a benefactor, but he cannot relieve us. Even though he's present before us in his lifetime, he cannot relieve us from the bondage of real misery, which is the birth and death. And that is the beauty of Vaishnavas. So this compassion, the quality of Vaishnavas is glorious, and it is the same quality that is being reflected here in Draupadi. Draupadi is an emblem of compassion, and she is devotee of Krishna. Krishna would do anything to save the Pandavas. He would always be with them at the time of difficulty. And we know that how Krishna saved Draupadi from the greatest calamity of being disrobed. In the assembly of Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan, Dusashan, Karna, because of which this battle took place finally. But still, she could not remember any of that. Only looking at Asatthama, she could remember, oh, what will happen to wife of Dronacharya. She will suffer like I am suffering. I don't want her to suffer like that. And she's compassionate. And of course, then Krishna finally, Arjun, shaved the hair of Asatthama, took up his money that was embedded in his forehead, and then he was released, and he was also cursed by Lord Krishna himself. And that suffering and pain would relieve him from the sinful reactions. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagvat pranito. Whatever Lord says, bhagvat pranito. Whatever Lord says is dharma. That's the law. So with this, we'll stop our talk here. And if there is any question or comment, we can take it. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the nice explanation as usual. And I was thinking that Draupadi has been very lenient, and she showed compassion once again, when she was in the forest and she was abducted by Jayadratha, the brother-in-law of Duryodhana. There also, she did not want them to kill him. She didn't want Dushala, the sister of Duryodhana, to be a widow. She said, I don't want her to be a widow to suffer. So the same process was applied. His hair was shaved and he was let to go in the forest.
That's
So
right.
it's not the first time that Draupadi is showing compassion. She is like kind of representative of Krishna in showing compassion. And the Lord does all these leela just to leave substance behind so that we can dwell on it, we can think about it, and we can kind of try to be compassionate also. We can try to be compassionate also. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you. So compassion, what Draupadi has exhibited is marvelous. But we also see this compassion that Vaishnavas are imparting upon us. Like Srila Prabhupada came to the West with so many heart attacks and in such difficult situation, following the instruction of his spiritual master. So this is ultimate compassion for us. And now we can reciprocate with Srila Prabhupada by extending that compassion to others as well, really saving people from the miserable existence of conditioned life by the literature of Srila Prabhupada, by his Vapu presence. And that's another way of looking at compassion towards the devotees, of the devotees. And all our gurus, they are constantly traveling the globe, constantly putting endeavors, endless endeavors actually, the kind of schedules they have, as a normal person would just crack out, but they are carrying on and on and on until the point that, you know, when they have to leave, they leave. But till such time, there's a force within them. That force is the force of love for Krishna, and that's expressed as compassion for living entities. This love of Krishna, the more intensified is that love for Krishna, the more intensifyingly that devotee exhibits the compassion to the living entities in the material world. And this is quite an amazing combination of loving Krishna and at the same time being reflected as compassion for the living entities. We can see that the more elevated the devotee is, the more he's compassionate to the living entities. Yeah. Is there any other comment or suggestion? I was reading this particular lecture by Niranjan Swami Maharaj, and he was showing that how compassion also means that we do not hurt others in a subtle way. So he has picked up the quality of not criticizing others. Vaishnavas, they have only one thing to talk about, and that one person is the blue boy, Krishna. And therefore, they're constantly engaged. Their minds are full of talking about Krishna. Whereas those who are not in that frame of mind or consciousness will constantly be talking about other people, and many times they end up criticizing. And this habit of criticizing is hurting others, and that is giving suffering to others. So the Vaishnavas do not want to give that kind of suffering. They want to alleviate people from those sufferings. Hence, they would never criticize other Vaishnavas or other living entities. They would simply give them the truth and give them the divine pastimes of the Lord, so that their miseries can be alleviated. That's another aspect of looking at compassion. Okay. There are some comments here. Thank you all for your wonderful glorification. This glorification goes to Srila Prabhupada for his immense mercy upon us, that we are so unqualified, but still we are able to say something about such subject matters which are beyond our perception and realizations. So all glory is to Srila Prabhupada for his endless compassion upon us. Thank you all devotees. I don't see any more questions coming, so we will end here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitana
Pavane Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Thank you, Prabhuji. It was wonderful. Jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for a nice
you.
class.
Wonderful cause. Thank you.
Thank you for
Hare
excellent
Krishna.
class.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.